Hey guys, Tatiana Gote here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So it's been about a month since my last check-in, and you could tell from the title of this video that it's not such great news. And the reason for that, y'all, is somewhat of a trigger warning. I don't want to sugarcoat this at all, so I'm just going to get right to the point. But my husband and I were super excited to find out that we were pregnant. And I'm going to get right to it. We did lose the baby. So, trigger warning for anybody who's lost a child. I understand that this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people, and it's now a sensitive topic for me. But on April 9th, we found out that we were pregnant. And by our 8-week ultrasound, we learned that something was wrong. And ultimately, 2 weeks later, we learned indefinitely that there was no heartbeat and that our baby hadn't grown past 6 weeks. If this is a hard topic for you to listen to or talk about, I totally understand wanting to not watch this video. And if not, you can continue to watch. So the second that I found out that I was pregnant, obviously, I'm elated. That day when I got and there really weren't even any symptoms that would make me think that I was pregnant. I knew that I was coming up on a period. I kind of had like tenderness in my breasts. Took a test. The test had the faintest line of positive, indicating that I was pregnant. I immediately stepped on the scale and wanted to know what my start weight was. I was at 187. So since January, I found out on April 9th that I was pregnant. And right then I weighed myself, and I hadn't weighed myself in a little while. But the last time that I had really weighed myself was January. And I was 186 in January. So without taking Wegoovy at all, or Ozempic, I had pretty much maintained a weight. And I think that was the end of January that I weighed in at 186. Now from January to April, I'm going to say that my weight definitely fluctuated. I don't know when I really stopped taking it, but if you recall and you watched the previous videos, and if you've not watched the previous videos, you could follow this journey more detailed. I always put a playlist in these videos where you can see the way this journey started, the weight loss journey, how the injections worked for me, the progress of it all. But yeah, I don't really know when it was that I officially stopped taking it. I didn't even write it down. I just knew that I ran out of it, and I couldn't take it anymore. My doctor wouldn't prescribe it anymore. The reasons for my doctor not prescribing it, you got to go back and watch the journey if you've not watched it already. Now, I had heard that there had not been enough testing on how this medication affected women in pregnancy. I know that the doctor that was prescribing it to me made it very clear that I should not attempt to get pregnant while I was using the medication. I hadn't been taking it for some time, and I just didn't care. And this is something that this whole time that I've been documenting this, I had considered this happening the whole time. At a certain point, my husband and I were trying, and it wasn't happening. But I was also weaning off of birth control, and I was taking the medication. So I wasn't mad that it wasn't happening. And it kind of makes sense. I do know that when I stopped taking birth control, I conceived 3 months later, which is what they say on average. Women, it takes about 3 months for birth control to get out of your system. And I want to say that it was around the same time that I stopped taking Wegovy too. Do I think that Wegovy had something to do with my miscarriage? No, not at all. This is not my first miscarriage. I miscarried many years ago. I knew that I had a history of PCOS. I knew that it was a possibility that it's difficult for me to get pregnant. When I had my daughter, I was just over the moon because I knew that I had miscarried before, and I knew that it was a possibility that I might not be able to carry it all. Also, this time around, I just learned so much more about miscarriage and just how unbelievably common it is to miscarry in the first trimester. I think it's 1 out of 4 women. And then, once we realized at the 8-week ultrasound that there was no heartbeat, and they basically told me that the baby didn't make it. And then my other doctor was like, well, hold on, the baby might have made it. You just might not be as far along as we think you are. So let's hold off. Let's get blood work. Let's see if your hormones are still rising. Let's schedule another ultrasound to see if the fetus has grown past this 6 weeks. You thought you were 8 weeks, but that's not saying that you didn't ovulate super late. And so we went through about a week and a half of just not knowing. And in that time, I read so many stories. You're just totally helpless in that. You just are praying for the best, but you very quickly learn the odds. And you very quickly learn that it is just so common. Do I think that it was because of Wegoovy? No. I think it's just God's design. I think he knew something about my baby that I did not know. I think he knew something about that pregnancy that I did not know. And he said, I'm going to take this one back with me, kind of thing. And it's been a real blow for our family. But just, all we can do is just get past it. I mean, it especially sucked because I just didn't have any signs of miscarriage whatsoever. There was no bleeding. There was nothing. I guess I was just under 10 weeks and the baby, stopped growing at 6 weeks, but just did not want to come out. So I opted to medically end the pregnancy because my body just wasn't processing it. It's like my brain didn't know that the baby didn't survive and it wasn't letting it go. My body didn't know that the baby didn't survive and it wasn't letting it go. So anyway, it's been a super traumatic time. But in those weeks that I thought I was pregnant, I just did not care. I was just excited and eating whatever I wanted. And I gained legit 15 pounds in like no time. And like I said, in this journey, I knew that it was something like that my husband and I wanted. I just didn't want to say it to you guys because maybe I didn't want to jinx it. I don't know. I don't know why just didn't want to say it out loud. That we wanted this pregnancy. We weren't super duper trying for the pregnancy, but we weren't doing anything to stop a pregnancy. Part of why I didn't push so hard and start going and paying after my doctor stopped prescribing the medication. Part of why I didn't push so hard or go to the other routes that you can go to still get the medication, like day spas and stuff, is because I knew there was the possibility that I could carry. Also, guys, part of the reason why I didn't want to get my gallbladder removed was because I was like, I want my body to be fully intact if I'm going to carry another baby. I don't want to lose my gallbladder. That was a huge factor in not wanting to go through surgery to get my gallbladder out. That whole time, through that whole process and the surgeries that they were canceling, if you know the story, like go back and just watch it if you haven't watched this journey, thinking there was the possibility that in this process I could get pregnant. And the whole thing, guys, is I don't have a lot of time because of my age. Like, I just didn't want to have to recover from any surgery and my body be too fixated on healing one aspect and then growing a baby at the same time. Also why I struggled with staying on the Wegovy, because I'm just like, I don't have a lot of time. And I knew it was one of the desires of my heart to have another baby, if possible. So at this point, I've had no further gallstone issues. At this point, the Wegovy's way out of my body. And at this point, I'm waiting for my body to heal after having to do a medical, essentially abortion. And I'm focused on just losing the weight and getting back to at least my starting weight by just watching what I'm eating. My family's just trusting God that, like, whatever will be, will be. But yeah, that's the update on me and us and this. Oh, but it'll be super encouraging for some of you to hear that, when it was all good with the pregnancy and I was going into the doctors, I heard a bunch of times that Mounjaro and Wegovy and Ozempic is like turning out to be a baby boom kind of drug because women are dropping the weight, they're getting healthier, and we are able to conceive easier, which for people like me with PCOS, once, getting your weight under control is a huge part of that battle. And also statistically, you could just see that women are having children later in life nowadays. So if you are taking this drug and hoping to be able to conceive, it happened to me. I also just saw a study on CNN. Hold on. I saw this study just yesterday. I took a screen grab of it and sent it to my husband. I'm like, maybe this is why I was so friggin' hungry. Look, CNN said pregnancy takes 50,000 more calories over 9 months study shows. And then it goes on to read, it was an Instagram post from CNN. It says, having a baby is energetically much more excessive than commonly thought. According to new research, in fact, over the course of a pregnancy, creating and carrying a little one takes 49,753 dietary calories, the equivalent of 164 Snickers candy bars. Y'all, the hunger was just so there, like so there. Oh, anyway, that's where I'm at. If you guys have had experience getting your weight under control and then being able to conceive, please tell those stories below in the comments. Please feel free to share your pregnancies that you had later in life and your experience having your pregnancy later in life in the comments. And of course, if miscarriage has affected you, please feel free to share your story. Tell us how you got through, or if you found a silver lining, please do share that with us as well. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. I hope to come back next time with some better news, but I think it's important to say that although this has been such a hardship on our family, you know, I took it hard. My husband took it hard. Our daughter was aware that I was pregnant because she's just my shadow, and she just is a very smart little girl, and she sees everything. She probably took it the least hard out of my husband, you know, out of our family. And to her, it's just, I explained it to her that pregnancy was a very delicate thing. And sometimes God can say, you know what, this one's not quite ready yet. I'm going to take him or her back with me. And I explained that to her from jump. I said, I'm going to explain this one time, and then we won't have to talk about it again unless it happens. And I explained it to her, and she got it. And I think when I told her that God took the baby back, that was easy for her. Like, okay, well, the baby's in heaven, so we can move on. And looking at her very simple understanding of it is encouraging to me, because I really think it is just that simple. I think that God gives and he takes away. I think that we created a child, and I think that he said, I'll breathe life into it or I won't. And I think that he probably had good reason to not. And I accept that, and I receive that, and I hope that we can try again. And no matter what the outcome of that is, I'll accept and receive that as well. He saw fit to give us one beautiful child that is the greatest thing ever. And we both, my husband reminds me, like, babe, you have one. She's a hell of a kid. I'm okay with that, if you're okay with that, if it doesn't happen for us. And that's great to know. Anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you back here really soon. Bye.